Hi, my name is Nicole Ruise, and I will be presenting a journal club. So, the title of the article is Immunogenicity and Safety of a 9-Valent HPV-C Vaccine. The authors included Pierre Van Dam, Sven Erik Olsen, Stanley Block, and it was funded by Merck and Company. The background: HPV is a sexually transmitted virus that is passed through skin-to-skin contact and sex, vaginal, anal, and oral. Most infections do not have any signs or symptoms, but if present, one may experience genital warts, cervical cancer in females, and other HPV-related cancers, penile, anal, or oropharynx. HPV vaccines are available for male and female adolescents and adults beginning at the age of 9 through 26 years old. Men who have sex with men through age 26, and for men with compromised immune systems, including HIV, through age 26, can also receive this vaccine. FDA-approved vaccines include Gardasil HPV-4, Cervarix HPV-2, and Gardasil 9. Gardasil HPV-4 covers types 6, 11, 16, 18, and Cervarix HPV-2 covers types 16, 18, while Gardasil 9 covers the types 6, 11, 16, 18, 31, 33, 45, 52, and 58. So for the methods section, the objective was to determine whether the 9V HPV vaccine can provide non-inferiority immunogenicity in boys and girls aged 9 to 15 years of age compared to young women 16 to 26 years old. This was a randomized controlled trial. The location included several places, including Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Peru, Poland, South Africa, the United States, and the list goes on. The IRB approval, the National Research Ethics Committee, and the Research Governance Department. The inclusion criteria included participants of the younger cohorts were to be generally healthy and sexually naive at enlistment and throughout the vaccination period at day 1, month 2, and month 6 for the older cohort. Participants were to be healthy and have no history of abnormal Papinicola test results, have no more than 4 lifetime sexual partners, and have no previous abnormal cervical biopsy results. The exclusion criteria, included previously receiving HPV vaccine, pregnancy, allergies, thrombocytopenia, and in an immunosuppressive state. The subjects included characteristics such as age, gender, race, weight, BMI, and region. The primary endpoint was to determine the 9V HPV vaccination, whether it can provide non-inferiority immunogenicity in boys and girls aged 9 through 15 of age compared to young women 16 to 26 years old, as stated in the objective. The secondary endpoint was to see if the 9V HPV vaccine is gender neutral. The follow-up period was approximately 2.5 years. The duration of the study was August 2009 through August 2013. The population included 1,800 girls ages 9 to 15 years of age, 600 boys 9 to 15 years old, and 400 young women from the ages of 16 to 26 years old. The arms were 9V HPV vaccine. Statistical analysis. In order to analyze the immunogenicity, the subjects had to meet some requirements, 3 of them to be exact. Number 1, to be seronegative on day 1, and for the older cohort, they must be PCR negative from day 1 through month 7. For the HPV type being analyzed, which was 6 and 11, the subjects had to be seronegative and PCR negative for both HPV 6 and 11. 2. Receive all 3 doses of the correct clinical material within acceptable day ranges. 3. Have a post-dose 3 serology result within acceptable ranges. So the lower bound of the two-sided confidence interval on the geometric mean titers ratio, girl, young women, or boys, young women, was greater than 0.67 for each HPV type. The study had a high power greater than 99% for the primary immunogenicity hypothesis on all of the nine HPV types for a true GMT ratio of at least 1.2 for all 9 types. The secondary immunogenicity objective, non-inferiority of seroconversion rates in girls and boys versus young women, was based on 9 one-sided tests of non-inferiority, one corresponding to each vaccine HPV type, at the 0.025 level, conducted by using the method of Myatin and Nurminin. The statistical criterion for non-inferiority was established from the lower bound of the two-sided 95% confidence interval for the differences in seroconversion rates, which is the percent girls minus percent young women or percent boys minus percent young women, was greater than 5% points for each HPV type. And that will conclude the statistical analysis. And now on to the results. The baseline characteristics, geometric mean titer responses in girls and boys were non-inferior compared to young women with p-values less than 0.001. Also, more than 99% of the subjects seroconverted by month 7 to all 9 vaccine types. As a result, this met the non-inferiority criterion that was set as the secondary immunogenicity objective. About 2,966 subjects completed the study, and 104 subjects discontinued. This was due to withdrawal from the participant, physician decision, adverse events, protocol violations, and loss of follow-up. The responses in girls and boys were non-inferior to those of young women. That would be the primary endpoint. So again, the primary endpoint was that the responses in girls and boys were non-inferior to those of young women. The secondary endpoint was that the vaccine is gender neutral. So there was no difference between female and male as it comes to the HPV-9 vaccine. Adverse events. The most common injection site events were pain, swelling, erythema, rated by size, and pruritus, which were mild to moderate in intensity with an incidence less than or equal to 2%. Vaccine-related systemic adverse events that were common were headache and pyrexia, with an incidence less than or equal to 2%. The author's conclusion. The data from the study supported that Gardasil 9 vaccine can provide the same efficacy in girls and boys from the ages of 9 and 15 compared to young women and between the ages of 16 to 26. All in all, Gardasil 9 is gender neutral and is effective in pre-adolescence and adolescence. So for my critique, I felt that there were both strengths and weaknesses. I'll begin with the strengths. So the study conducted was commendable. Randomizing the subjects and blinding those involved in the study prevented bias. The data collected proved that prophylaxis of Gardasil 9 is clinically significant in pre-adolescents starting at the age of 9. The results justified that immunogenicity is non-inferior and better compared to the immunogenicity found in the ideal prophylactic population of young women between the ages of 16 to 26 years of age. The FDA has approved Gardasil 9 for HPV prevention, and the CDC's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report supports that Gardasil 9 is safe, cost effective, and efficacious when compared to Gardasil HPV4 in the type 6, 11, 16, and 18. So the weaknesses, I felt as though the study should have focused more on individuals from the United States rather than from different countries. I believe that the study focused on 17 different countries, United States being included, but I would have rather seen the study more focused in the United States. Another weakness was that they managed to mention that there was a limitation of the current study, meaning that they said that they lacked clinical efficacy data. Studies of HPV vaccines are not conducted in children less than or equal to 15 years due to low exposure to HPV and other technical reasons. So, in summary, young women were tested for pregnancy before vaccination, and they were advised to use contraception through the 7th month. All subjects received 9V HPV vaccine in the deltoid as a 0.5 milliliter intramuscular injection. A dose of 9V HPV vaccine contained 30 milligrams of HPV 6, 40 milligrams of HPV 11, 60 milligrams of HPV 16, 40 milligrams of HPV 18, 20 milligrams of HPV 31, 20 milligrams of HPV 33, 20 milligrams of HPV 45, 20 milligrams of HPV 52, and 20 milligrams of HPV 58 virus-like particles, and 500 milligrams of amorphous aluminum hydroxyphosphate sulfate. Now, in order to balance the randomization between sites, an interactive voice response system was used to group the participants. These individuals received an allocation number from 1 to 3, allocation schedules determined by the sponsor. Those blinded in the trial include the subjects, investigators, laboratory staff, sponsors. Assessment for immunogenicity took place on day 1 and on the 7th month. Young women also partook in a polymerase chain reaction testing for the detection of HPV DNA in the 9 vaccine types. Seropositivity at day 1 or a PCR positive test was not excluded from the study. So, again, to recap, randomizing the subjects and blinding those involved in the study prevented bias. The data collected proved that prophylaxis of Gardasil 9 is clinically significant in pre-adolescents starting at the age of 9, and also that it is gender neutral. Thank you so much for your time, and again, my name is Nicole Ruise.